here we are again. Morphy's Games of Chess. Morphy versus Lowenthal, 7th match game, held on July 28th, 1858. Game number 26 in the book. All right, here we go. We got a good one. All right, let's get it going. Morphy's got the black pieces. Lowenthal starts it off with e4. Morphy answers e5. A king-pawn game. Standard procedure. Knight f3, attacking that e5 pawn. Morphy with the Philidor's defense. Can you believe it? All right, here we go. Philidor's defense. All right, not a big fan because you're blocking in this king bishop on the dark squares. His only option is to go to e7 at this point. All right, but anyway, okay, be that as it may. Our hero has chosen it. Let's see how he handles it. Okay, Lowenthal, standard procedure, d4. Morphy snatches the pawn, and here's Lowenthal taken with the queen, a la Morphy here. This was Morphy's treatment, the way he'd play against the Philidor's defense. All right, taken with the queen. I mean, in the first match game here, we had Lowenthal. We noted, you know, he liked to take back with the knight. That was his way, and the critics were divided, right? Some like to follow Lowenthal's idea, knight takes, and others like Morphy's move, queen takes. But here it is, here, you know, Lowenthal goes in with the queen. All right, let's see what happens here. I'll just read the note. It even says it here. See note on first match game. Lowenthal plays against his own theory here. Morphy makes an unusual reply. Knight to c6 or bishop to d7 being regular for black, right? And just to touch on it so you know what's going on. With the knight with the knight coming to c6, you get a tempo on the queen, right? Well, if white doesn't want to lose a tempo moving that queen, you just develop a piece. Bishop b5, you pin that knight. All right, if black unpins, all right, now you still don't want to lose a move. Lose a tempo moving that queen, you go ahead and chop off the knight. All right, you give black the two bishops, but you got your queen posted in the center, right? You didn't lose the tempo, but you bring black's bishop to c6 on that long h1, a8 diagonal, aiming right at your central e-pawn there. You know, it's a white's got a little space advantage. Black's got the bishop here, not doing too bad. It's a game, folks. All right, so anyway, that's the idea, see? Now, sometimes people play this first so that when the knight comes to c6, the bishop b5 doesn't make sense. There's no pin, right? All right, so that's why some people like to play the bishop first. All right, but anyway, here we go. Queen takes. What's the unusual move for Morphy? All right, here it is. Bishop e6. How about that one? All right, we'll see what he whips up with this. What's the idea? All right, here comes the knight. Lowenthal, develop them pieces, kids. Get those soldiers into battle. All right, and now you got, okay, here's another note. Morphy following up his bishop move with a6. All right, having played bishop to e6, he is obliged to do this now if he wishes to prevent his queen knight being pinned when it goes to c6. Right? Now, folks, let's follow up the logic just to be complete here. What they're saying is, look, if you go here and then white's just going to pin, right? You got to pin. You don't want to move the queen and lose the tempo. You just pin him, right? Now, if black wants to unpin with the bishop to d7 like we showed before in the other line, well, now you just burn the tempo because you moved it to e6 first. Now, just to bring it back to d7 makes no sense. I mean, this is amateurish, you know. This is the difference between amateurs and masters. You understand? Seasoned players. They understand that would be a waste of time. You just move that bishop twice for no reason. All right? So, example, look at the move order here. Look, by move 6, you bring the bishop to d7, right? All right, now look at this. Look. If you bring it out, right, and he pins, and then you bring it here, Look at this. It's the same. Now it's only move 5. Look, white doesn't have the knight developed. You see that? It's like you're giving white an extra move to get another piece out. You don't want to give your opponent extra moves to get his men out faster, right? Look at this, folks. Look. Look. Let's see how it happens. You go here, right? All right, he brings the knight out. Now you go there. Oh, tempo on the queen. Well, not so fast. You pin. Well, I'll unpin. Folks, you see now the knight's out on c3? You understand what just happened? You see how that is? You gave white an extra move. All right, but anyway, here we go. Look. Watch closely. So, after the knight, Morphy plays this to prevent bishop e5 pin. He's just stopping that pin altogether. All right, so now Lowenthal sees that knight's coming to c6. So what does he do, folks? Well, he brings the queen bishop to e3. Makes sense. Why? Because now when the knight leaps and hits the queen, he retreats it to d2. That's where you want to put your queen in this position. d2 is a good square for the queen. Once you get the queen bishop out. You see that? Now the bishop's out over here on e3. Everything's fine and dandy. But look, let me show you what would be bad. Let's say you bring this. Oh, I want a castle right on the king's side. Let me get this guy out quickly. And then you get the tempo on the queen. Now you go back to d2 where the queen wants to be. And look at what happened. Look what you did. Look what you did now. You blocked in your queen bishop. Now you got to move the queen again just to get the bishop out, or you're going to have to waste time pushing a pawn, the b2 pawn, you know, and then posting your bishop on b2 or something, you know. This doesn't make sense. You see how you lose time one way or the other. This way, the subtlety, folks, the subtlety. You bring this guy out first right before he hits you. Then you move him back. You move her back to where she wants to be on d2. There you go. You're good to go. Look at this. The bishop's out. The queen gets to settle on d2. No problemo. You're going to bring out your king bishop. Castle either way you want. You see how it works, folks? The subtleties of chess. I'm telling you, this game is something else. All the little subtleties would make this game so beautiful. All right. So anyway, if you follow that, I hope you do. Now let's continue. We got queen to d2. Now you got Morphy attacking, right? Well, knight, not attacking, but knight f6, putting a little pressure on that e4 pawn. But white's got the c3 knight there. Don't worry about it, all right? Here we go. Look at this. Lowenthal brings the queen rook to d1. All right. Trying to control that d file. All right. There's no pawn on it for white, so that kind of makes sense. You bring your rooks to the open files. All right. Morphy with the bishop to e7. He's got to develop that guy somehow. That's the only square, folks. That's why I mentioned again. I'll say it for a second time. That pawn on d6 blocks the options for this bishop, right? We've seen in many other defenses, the bishop comes out, maybe c5, maybe pin the knight, you know, maybe even settle on d6. Well, no option right there. Bishop e7. Solid move, don't get me wrong. Just not as many options. All right. So anyway, here we go. Lowenthal, king bishop to e2. They castle, folks. They castle. There they go. Right? Kings are safe. Morphy expanding on the queen side with b5, looking to push b4, hit the c3 knight. For instance, you go like this, boom. You hit him. I don't know. Where's he go? Back. You lose that guy. You lose the e4 pawn. Big no-no. You just drop the center pawn. All right. So that's the threat, folks. That's the threat, right? What? No problem. Lowenthal halts the pawn, the b pawn, with a3. Okay, and now Morphy with a centralized knight. Knight to e5. All right. Now look at this, folks. Watch this now. Lowenthal swings his knight. Centralized knight for Lowenthal. Knight to d4. Okay. All right. Now look. If he trades, if he takes like this, you figure, what's wrong with this? Well, you know, I said that d6 pawn blocking the scope of the bishop, right? The choices for the king bishop on e7. Well, now you get to take back. You got a pawn up on your fourth rank in the center. you know, mano y mano with white, e5 and the e4 pawns face to face, and now you got the bishop ready to fly out, has more options. Big deal, big deal. You trade over here. What are you doing? Who cares, right? What does it matter, folks? No big deal. You want to give me the d file? I'll take the d file. Want to challenge me? No big deal. Who cares? Look at this. It's a game, folks. We got the black pieces, right? We got the black pieces. If it's a draw, it's fine by me, right? White's throwing away his first move advantage. All right. Chance to win, right? So anyway, that's all fine and dandy for black. Look, he brings it here, okay? Now, watch this. Look at Morphy hitting the knight on d4. Can you believe this? He hits the knight, and he gives himself a backward d-pawn, folks. What do I mean? Well, look, let's just say he goes back, right? Now, this pawn on d6 doesn't have a brother pawn here or here to protect him. You see what I'm saying? So this pawn is weak, and it's weak because it's on an open. It's a target. It's on an open file for white, right? He's bearing down on that pawn with the queen and rook. They got total control of the d5 square. For instance, if this pawn is weak, you'd want to try to trade it for this guy, right? Want to get rid of it. But right now, white's controlling d5 with all his pieces, with the queen, the rook on d1, the knight on c3, and the pawn. So he doesn't control d5 yet, you understand? So he can't trade it off. This would give him a weakness, right? But lo and behold, what does Lowenthal do? Look at this. He takes the bishop. All right, he grabs the bishop pair. But folks, look, now Morphy takes back with the f-pawn. Now that f-pawn goes to the e-file to support d5, you understand? Now it's not as bad. It's not as bad for black. Now he has pawn support to push d5. All right. Maybe not right away, but you understand how it works? All right. Just to take note. Okay, so anyway, look at this. So now you got Morphy taking back with the f-pawn. Pawn takes knight. And now look at Lowenthal expanding in the center, hitting Morphy's knight. Look at this. All right. Morphy drops the knight back to g6. Okay. So now at this point, here's the notes. Look at this. Lowenthal claims with pardonable pride to have a splendid game at this point. Max Lang suggests now pawn to f5. I guess really ripping it open, you know, hitting the knight. Maybe you take... Either way, you're going to rip open the f-file for that rook on f1. You get the big guns in the game. White's got the bishop pair. They could swing down, take aim at the king. Who knows how this would go, right? It's a battle, folks. Looked like it was shaping up to be a good battle. But here we got Lowenthal playing for the tactics, the straightaway tactics. Look at this. Bishop to f3. All right, what's the threat, folks? Well, let's just throw in a silly move to show it. You push e5, now you're hitting the knight, right? And you're threatening to win the rook, win the exchange, bishop for rook, right? So the only way to match, to meet these two threats, you throw the knight. You block the attack on your rook and you save your knight, right? Kill two birds with one stone, but what is it? What do they say? From into the frying pan, out of the fire into the frying, I don't even remember. How do they say that? Out of the frying pan into the fire, right? So the bishop takes, all right, you take back, queen takes, right? Oh, you know what? I think it's better you take with the knight. Take with the knight. That way you got the, watch this, you got the battery on the light squares with the bishop on f3 and the queen taken back. See this? All right, so now it's a check move, folks, if you didn't notice. So the king goes over. And now you could even grab this if you want to go straight away, right? You just win the exchange, right? But get a load of this. Watch this, folks. I mean, all right, you could maybe now you could take, I guess, you could take here, and then if he moves, whatever's going to happen, he moves here, maybe you win this one, right? Let's get the engine going, too, because I know the engine did it a little different order. I think it ends up transposing. Just to be thorough, folks. I don't want to mislead you. I know I said it before. I'll say it again. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's go through the moves. After the check, king goes over. I know he takes. The engine want to take here first. See how it's saying? Now the bishop goes here, and now you go ahead, you go in for it, right? I mean, you could even, all right, it's saying bishop e4, attacking the knight on g6 that's not protected. See that? You could even do this first. The knight's got to move. I don't know. All right, here the engine caught up. All right, here it is. You go in for it. They trade, right? They trade. And now look at this. Bishop takes. See, it's like a transpose. No different, right? I mean, what a devastating pawn. The D pawn, 2 moves away. You got rook support, bishop support. Forget about it. This game's over, folks. Totally over. Said and done. All right. So anyway, that's the threat, right? That's what we're leaving at. The threat is. I just do an h6 to show you the threat. The threat is e5. See that double attack? Threat to win the rook, the exchange, rook for bishop, or to win the knight on f6. Only really move to save both is this. And there you go. It still doesn't work. There you go. See? All right. So no h6. Lowenthal again playing for the tactics. Bishop to f3. Here we go. Look at this. Morphy, simple enough. Rook to b8. Get out of here. Come on, you. You try to get me with this cheapo, please. All right, so now we got, look at Lowenthal now. Slipping the queen over to e2. Subtle little move. Look at this, folks. Do you see the threat now? All right, let's throw in that dumb h6 move again. Look, you're threatening to win the pawn over here because your d pawn's pinned. You see that, folks? Look at this. All right, now, I noticed the engine didn't go in for it yet. Wait a minute now. He plays e5 first. Well, the pawn, wow, the pawn on d6, you're still taking advantage of it. Look at this. You can't take, folks. Again, you can't take. Rook takes queen, right? So you got to move that knight. And heck, if you move it here, blocking the queen, I'm thinking you could just take here, right? You take here, or the engine likes bishop over here first, attacking e6, threatening bishop takes with check. Yeah, I don't know, folks. It looks pretty bad. Looks pretty bad. Even if white was to try to save the d pawn, you see what happens? He loses over here. Look at this. Yeah, look at that. The knight's pinned now and attacked twice. Holy smokes, it's gone from bad to worse, folks. It's gone from bad to worse. All right, anyway. You see that up there? I tell you, it's not as, this is what I saw, you know, simplicity. Just, oh, your d-pawn's pinned. Look at how that engine, when you find a good move, look for a better one. Look at this. The engine going in with this, even better. All right, they're saying knight to e8. Engine says knight. Now you got the knight on the back rank. All right, but he's backing up d6 in a way, right? So now, look at this. The bishop attacks the knight. Where'd the knight go over here? All right, he's looking to go to f5 maybe. Planted in on f5. All right, now you take over here. The knight takes, right? No matter who takes, really, you're going to, they're saying knight takes. You don't want to leave your knight on the rim, on the back rank. Now you can get the pawn over here. All right. Well, a little different, same objective, you know. But you got let's see, I think you won another pawn. So it's 2, 4, 5 to all right, 2 to 6. You won a pawn. All right. And you got that e6 pawn, very weak. Wow, let me see something. Yeah, the bishop takes, and now the queen's threatening to take on e6 with check. So they move this guy, get out of the knight. The knight is pinned now by the rook, if you haven't noticed. So the queen gets out of the pin and protects e6. So then he just takes here. Oh, boy. Look at that, huh? Really bad. All right, the check comes in. Gonna try to win that. Okay, you go here. Oh, look at this. So now you get the rook. But look, Lo and behold, look who's sitting over here. Look at that, the knight chopped up. Almost looked like black was going to get something for this. All right, not quite. He's still behind the 8 ball, folks. Let's see, the way it shapes up, you got black's going over here now. But you got black's got he's up the exchange, but he's down 2 pawns. Oh wait, no, 1 pawn. Interesting game, huh? Has been called. Very interesting. Not short. Well, we're not really giving the engine much time. This is something else, though, huh? Well, you protect this guy. Look, you get to protect C2 with the bishop. I don't know. Interesting game, huh? They're saying black is losing. You take, maybe they would swap rooks. Is that what goes on there? You take like this. Ah, dangerous, dangerous. If you check there, or actually he checked from here. Because if you check from, my mistake, if you check from here, the queen could come right in with the support of the knight on E2 and block it out. So you would have blown it. But you check from here, oh, forget about it. Look at this. It's all over, folks. Yep, you could even take with the queen right in his face. Why? Because if he takes like that, here comes the other one. You see that, folks? What's going to happen now, right? Good night. Game over. All right, who knows, you know? Who knows, you know? That could go out. That could have been some fight. It's saying that white is up. I just played it bad. He checks, block, he takes, take. And at this point, it's saying that black's down a pawn and not quite a pawn and a half. So maybe he could hold it. I mean, we saw what just happened. One little mistake, folks, and look at what I did. I blew it. Knight goes there. Knight goes to E2, maybe. That's what they did before. Knight to E2. Knight to D1. There's knight to E2. All right, well, anyway, you know, this is a whole other fight. But let's go back. So, rook over, queen over, and I still say this is threatening bishop takes c5, whether right away or down the road, right? So, what does Morphy do? All right? What does he do at this stage? Well, he puts his queen on c7. See this? All right, he gets out. The d pawn's no longer pinned, right? Now, here you go. I'll tell you all the analysis on that last move. It could have went this way, could have went that way, right? Look at what ends up happening in this game. Look at what ends up happening. It's pretty sad. Because they even said in the other note that Lowenthal felt he was doing fine. He was boasting he had a good game. And I'd agree, this was shaping up to be a battle, folks. But look at Lowenthal. He plays h4. And it says white moves this pawn by mistake instead of the g pawn. I guess he wanted to expand on the king side like this with this guy. Right? Just a pawn storm, right? You got these 3 pawns pushing forward, you know, wrecking havoc, pushing the black pieces around, the 2 knights, you know, booting them out of there. And then you got your pieces coming in for the attack behind. It's like a battering ram, right, folks? You get these pawns coming up. But Lowenthal touched the wrong pawn, and he moves. Now he moves it. All right, so Morphy just snatches it right up. Big mistake. So now, okay, Lowenthal tries to hang in there, but once you know the way this game appears to go, I think he just got his nerves. He touched the wrong. Who wants to play a game against one of the leading chess players? You got a big game and you make a move like H4. You know it was not what you wanted to intend to move, and the next thing everything crumbles. Your nerves are shot. Here you go. Watch how this falls apart. All right, so he plays bishop G4. All right, he's happy to grab the bishop. Queen takes. All right. Morphy brings the queen to C8, protecting the E6 pawn. All right, here we go now. Let's boot that knight. Get out of here, and the knight goes back. All right, rook up, rook to F2. Morphy with rook to F6. Lowenthal doubling them rooks on the F file. Morphy pushing the B4, hitting that knight. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. All right, now the knight, where's he going to go? Oh, he goes to here. It goes to A4. No, 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 no. They gave it a question mark. A question mark, folks. Bring the knight. Look at the engine. Bring the knight to B1. They were saying D1, but B1 makes sense, and you could maybe swing it here, swing it back to the king side. I mean, but it goes over here. A4. Now it's locked out of the game. Look at this. The B4 pawn keeps him out. I mean, it's out. It's out in left field. It's out in right field, I should say, right? The way our perspective with the black pieces. It's out in right field. And now, what does Morphy do? How does he follow up this? Do you see the move, folks? It's a double attack. Do you see it? Queen to C6, attacking that undefended knight and the E pawn. Now, it would be beautiful if he could go here and defend it, right? But hey, can't do that, right? You can't go here either. You can't defend the E pawn with your knight. All right, so there you go. So he loses the piece. What does he do? He protects the knight. I shouldn't say he loses the piece. He protects the piece, and he loses the crucial E4 pawn, central pawn. Not one of those that you want to lose. All right. So queen takes pawn. Now look at this. The bishop trying to, harass the rook. All right. Morphy doubling the rooks on the F file. Look at this. All right. Now Lowenthal abandons the doubling of the rook idea, and he just goes after the queen with this one, supported by his queen on G4. And Morphy, all right, Morphy gains a tempo on the bishop. We're talking tempos here. All right, they're running around. All right, now the bishop, look at this. He drops it back to F2, folks. Not the best square, right? Not the best square. Now hold on, you. Don't you go cheating. Don't you go cheating, you. What's the move? What's the move for black? Oh, you're going to look. You're going to cheat. I knew it. I couldn't trust you. Look at this. All right, I wiped it off. The engine, it's gone, right? You don't see it. Maybe you didn't catch it. Maybe there's a few honest fellows out there, right? A few ladies playing this game. Honest girls. All right. Do you see what to do here? Do you see black's move? All right. You know, it's a pretty cute move here. The bishop goes to F2, blocking the F1 rook. All right, here it is. Here it is. I gave enough hints. Here it is. Knight takes F4. Can you believe it, folks? Can you believe it? Why can't he take? Well, obviously, he can't take like this, right? We all know that. We all know that, but the question is, well, wait a minute. You take with the pawn. That's right, folks, but look. Rook to G6. Pinning the queen on G4 to the king. Oh boy, what are you gonna do now, huh, tough guy? What are you gonna do? I mean, if you can't do anything. All right, so it's game over, right? You take. All right, you take here. All right, you take. And basically, that's it. You know, look at the engine. Let's see the evaluation. We'll bring the engine back. Bring it on back home. Come on. Let's see. What does it say? Bishop B3. I guess you're protecting the F4 pawn, right? Well, anyway, you see black's up. Let's see, he's up the queen for rook and knight. Okay. But that knight, you know, he's out of the game. So the position so far, you know, it's not just strictly material. Black's got an edge in position too at this stage. All right, interesting. I'm getting sucked in, folks. But, you know, at this stage, after knight takes pawn right here, Lowenthal, he folded. That's it. He said, you got me. And he resigned. All right, game took 3 hours. 3 hours, this one. All right, it was shaping up to be a mighty battle, but it went up in smoke. All right, but, you know, there's a couple of things I got to point out, too, interesting enough. You go here. Let's see. I remember some interesting moves. Okay. Now, if the queen moves, for instance, if the queen just gets off here, well, now it's mate, right? That's what you're setting up. You're setting up mate. You got a one-move mate set up. So let's say, what was the move? If he goes, if he takes, there's some beautiful stuff here. I mean, if he goes like this, does that even matter? Right, to protect. I mean, you could take. I mean, now it doesn't even matter. I mean, right? What does it even matter now? I mean, now the king's forced here, and you're just going to unleash everything on the H-file here. You trade them down, right? I mean, you take with the knight, and if you want to exchange everything, go right ahead. Take, and we'll have rook takes on F2 with check, and then you grab the C pawn and forget about it. The knight's trapped. It's all over. But I'm trying to remember what happened. It was something funny. Some other mates. You got other mating threats. All right, you go like this. You pin that guy. Well, oh, yes. Let's go back. I know what it was. That's the thing. All right, we were questioning this move to begin with. What if he comes back over here and protects F4, right? All right, now watch this, folks. Look at the move. I know you probably cheated and looked at the engine. Look at this, knight to E5. Doing the impossible, folks, because if he takes, wham, you hit him right down there where it hurts. And look at this, one move over, and there you go, mate. Mate. You got queen support on the long diagonal. You see that? Beautiful. The patterns, folks, they play out over and over. You got to know them all. Look at this. You can't take the knight, right? So this is the thought I had. I remember the engine. Now, they're saying here, right? But I remember this, too. I remember this, trying this one. Knight to H3. That's where I was thinking before. I knew there was something like this. But look, now the knight comes in with a check. And look, if he goes to the light squares, right, here or here, look, then you just have a discovered check with the queen, see? And when the king moves, then you grab him. See that? And once again, you win the queen for the knight, please. No contest, game over, right? All right, so now the question is if he goes here, right? If he goes here, all right, now watch this. You swing the rook over, you attack that queen, and I mean, you're threatening to come in with the rook check on H2. I mean, so he eventually has to take, you know, trade queen for rook, and there you go. You're winning again. You're winning again. You're up. Look at it. You're up 9 pawns. Forget about it. All right, 7.5 pawns. I'm corrected there, right? But now if he tries to, you know, if he moves, folks, we're coming in like this, right? We're coming in with this, mate. Good night. You see that one? The knight, beautiful, taking away. Let me just move this back. Taking away this square and this square, right? G1 and E1. So, what if he goes here? Look, what if he just pulls it back to stop the rook? Well, the rook comes down anyway, right? Is that the move? Let me make sure what the engine did. Yeah, rook H2 wins. You're threatening to take that queen. Right? All right, he tries to protect it, right? Big deal. You take with check, it's winning. He takes, and now, you know, now you can, okay. Bishop to f6 to support knight d4, so the knight could leap out of there and get out of danger. Get out of that. She's surrounded over there. Let's get it out of there. It needs some breathing room, right? Get the knight to d4. The bishop's going to lend helping support. So whatever happens now, right? Whatever. Look at that. Knight d4, like I said. The engine knows what it's talking about. All right, he wants to trade that one for that one. Big deal. Now the knight on a4. Look at this. Corralled. Can't go anywhere. The knight is trapped. The knight's useless on a4. Can't even come out. Can't even get in the game. All right, so anyway, you know, that was another interesting line. I thought that was pretty good. So there you go. I mean, there's various things. Now, Bishop d4. Didn't even look at this one. All right, so he goes there. I guess you push, right? e5. You can't take, or you can't take once again. You got the doubled rooks, baby. Lowenthal, he abandoned that. He abandoned that doubled rook on the f file. Now, Black's setting the tactics up, baby. He's setting it up for that, right? He's utilizing it. All right, bishop back. Now, look at this. Now the rook takes anyway. The rook, see, bishop going, the bishop's not even involved now, so everything applies all the same, right? All right, he takes here. All right, now we can't. Now we don't take like that. We take like this, right? Okay, he wins the exchange. We get ready. We get ready with the rook to g6. We'll do it with this rook, right, folks? We'll do it with, this was the queen rook, I believe. So we'll just swing him to g6. If he wants to be dumb and take like this. Come on, come on. It still works, right? This rook, it works all the same. So he can't take that pawn. I mean, he's not going to take like this, right? Wham. All right, the obvious. I'm stating the obvious. All right, so he backs it up. I see it. He backs it up. Like he pins the black pawn on f4. Does he really, though? I mean, can't we take it anyway? Can't we take it? And then look at it. It'll eventually, we'll get it down to a bishop versus knight endgame where Black has, what, 4 pawns against 3? Pawns on both sides. It's looking really good for Black. If you don't want to you get the queen still on the board, the white king's in trouble. All right, he comes back to defend. He comes back to defend. d5, huh? Look at that. You see the logic, folks? d5. You know white wants to trade queens, right? He wants to get the power off the board because his king's very shaky. Yeah, he'll go into the endgame. I think that's his better choice because his king looks pretty shaky here. And what do? You trade queens right away? No, look. You push the pawn. Why? Because now you get to double these pawns up. Look, now you got 2 pawns side by side. All right, so he takes there. Okay, big deal. That lasted, what, 1 move? All right, but you take what you can get. Look at this. So now you got that e pawn, and lo and behold, bishop versus knight endgame. Got everything you want here. What is it? 5 pawns against 3. Forgive me, I didn't count the pawns correctly before. I thought it was 4 against 3. It's even better for Black. It's 5 against 3. I mean, now I don't see why you don't get your knight. I don't see why you don't get your knight to c5 because you're not going to get it out. If you don't go to the computer, look, he goes here. What if I go here? Look, how are you going to get that knight out? Genius, right? The knight's trapped. We talked about that. The knight's trapped. Folks, these are little endgame, you know, little tricks to pick up. Boys, watch. With the bishop, you could trap that knight sometimes when it's on the edge. You see this? Where's he going, folks? Where's he going? He's trapped, huh? Isn't that funny? Isn't that a joke? I mean, if you're white, you're not laughing, but for Black, it's hysterical, right? Isn't that funny? It's all perspective, folks. All right, so anyway, you know, who knows where it goes from here. For some reason, the engine is saying king up. I don't get it. Why not? Oh, my mistake. Look at this. Look at this. Folks, Who says the endgame's boring? Look at this. Whether the knight comes here or here. Look at this right here. Oh, you're forking the E pawn and the A pawn. Look at that. You're going to get a pawn back. Not quite. Look. Didn't even notice it. Look at this. The check, king moves. You win the knight. Oh, God. How did I even miss it? It shows I'm tired once again, folks. It's a long day. Forgive me. That's why, that's why the engine. I got to hand it to genius, All right, now it was saying king G2. All right, king F1. All right, don't miss your opportunity to trap the knight. All right, here he comes, right? Luckily, we got that E pawn over there controlling the light squares. How's the king going to get up and harass our bishop out of the way, huh? Look at this. All right, so he advances. All right, and he's going to push that guy on. So, all right, we take him. Knight takes. All right, so we ended up winning another pawn. All right, so wait a minute. Another pawn. What am I doing here? Did he honestly do that? We take there. He takes with the knight. Oh, forget it, folks. He just abandoned his own piece. It's all over. I tell you, I'm tired. He gave it up, folks. He gave up the knight. It was totally useless. Nothing he can do. He couldn't do anything. So he gave it up for a pawn at least. And now the king's going to get the E pawn. Folks, it's over. It's all over. Simple mathematics, right? Watch what happens. All right, king up. Let's be complete. Why not, right? All right, you got the piece. You could win tempos anytime you want one, right? Anytime you want. Well, look, I'll tell you what we'll do. Watch this. Okay, he goes after our guy, right? All right, we park him in there. That B pawn goes nowhere for the rest of the game. No matter what he tries. What's he going to do over there? He might as well come over to this side of the board, right? He might as well try to defend. Here we go. We launch this guy. He's got to babysit that one, right? We come right up. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? King E3? All right, here we go. Babysit this guy. There you go. Go after him. Go ahead. Go after him. He goes there, right? All right. He's going to take. We take this guy. Game over. Nothing he can do. Look, all right. I take the opposition, right? Let's make sure we don't make. I mean, it doesn't even matter. We got the bishop, right? We got the bishop, folks. We could grab the tempo whenever we want. We could burn a tempo, grab the initiative, right? King F4, right? Here we go. What's he going to do? Right? We go like this. Right? We go push on. Who cares? We got the bishop, folks. We got the bishop. Right? He comes back. Standard king pawn maneuvers, right? He goes like this, right? Now, let's do it. I think here we go. Here, we'll watch this. Check. All right, he tries to block. Here's our bishop. Check. He goes in, right? Now we go to queen. Queen. Bishop supports. Queen. One move. Mate, baby. There it is. All over. See? All right. Just to be thorough, that was a lot of fun. All right. Little technique, right? There you go. Trapping the knight on the edge is always fun. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Just another example of Morphy and a little added extra bonus here and there. A little icing on the cake, as they say, right?